Ladies, this is a Walmart DIY purse tutorial that you do not want to miss. I made this purse using Placemats, y'all, and I made it for under $10. Stay tuned, I'll show you. Now you need two placemats. I ended up finding these placemats from Walmart for 56 cents, so that was a really good deal. You'll need chain, metal clasps, scissors, a sewing machine. What's not shown though is I also use D-rings and a clasp, and you'll see that later what I'm talking about. You need a sewing machine like I said, and or else if you don't want to use the sewing machine, you really don't have to. You can glue all of this together, but of course I prefer to use the sewing machine so it would last longer. Now you can choose to make your purse smaller if you want to, but this is just the width that I decided to go with. If you want to make it smaller, all you have to do is just cut it down to whatever desired length you want. What I'm doing is taking my placemat, folding it over, getting my desired shape of my bag that I want, and after that I'll be taking my other placemat and outlining the size of the bag how I want it to be. Here I didn't end up having a ruler, so I just took the straightest line that I could find and I made the bottom because I want my purse to potentially stand as straight as it'll stand. Now right here, as you can see, the two pieces that are cut out weren't aligned the same way. One was horizontal and the other one was vertical, so I had to go back in and recut out the one that was vertical so it could be horizontal, and that just gives it a nice flow to your bag. I did the first side off camera because I wasn't sure what I would be facing, but now I'm back with the other side. So what you're going to see me do right here is I'm taking my fingerprint and I'm just in marking where the other side started and where it stopped. Now this is crucial. What I did was I ended up changing my sewing machine settings so that the stitch would be tighter, because since this is not actually fabric, I wanted to make sure it has a good hold. Now make sure that you watch this video in its entirety first before you go out and buy your placemats and do everything that you're seeing me do, because what ended up happening is I had to undo it a few times and I ended up with a hole in the bag. It was just on a piece, not nothing crazy, not in the center of the bag, but I ended up having to cut it out, and that was just a whole nother dilemma. So the moral of that whole little spiel was just to make sure that you're measuring and make sure that everything is going to be able to be aligned. After I sewed both of my sides, I did close my top portion, that would be the top part of my purse, down to see if everything looked to be aligned. At first it wasn't. That's where I got the hole at, because I had to undo it and redo it, but then I got it right the next time. Right here I decided that I wanted to make, I'm guessing they're called shoulder pads. I'm not really sure what they're called on the chain part of the purse. You saw it in the beginning and you'll be able to see it again after I'm done making the purse. But that's what I'm gonna do, just something, something cute, something fancy. I will say that I made it in a rectangular shape, and I should have just cornered it off. I think that would have looked better, so maybe you can try that and see. And I'm gonna also make some little loops for my D-rings, and if you can see on the right hand side of your screen, those are the D-rings, and the clasp was gonna hold my chain together. I didn't have them in the color gold. It wasn't available at my Walmart in the color gold, so I didn't get it. The chain also came with some other clasps, but I didn't end up using those. I did end up having to take both of the sides of my bag partially loose again, because I didn't end up putting the loops for the D-rings in those portions, and you of course sewing and attaching it down. So that's what I ended up having to go back and do, which I don't recommend doing. That's why I said make sure you watch this video in its entirety. And this may be a bad spot to put this, but I forgot to say this in the beginning. I am not a professional. I'm just somebody who loves crafting. But anywho, right here I'm sewing down the shoulder pads, quote unquote. That's what I'm calling it. That's going to go across my chain. And as you can see, it was a little bit uneven. So after I sewed it, I came back and cut the excess off and then opened it up and put it right through. And these were the other clasps that I was talking about that came with a chain that I didn't end up using. I'm attaching each side of the chain to the clasp on each side. Now this is another part of this purse that you only get one shot at. So I'm going to take my magnetic clasps and I'm looking to see what portion. I'm lining it up. I'm looking to see where I want to put the bottom portion and the top portion of my clasp. I'm taking my cutters and I'm making a small indentation where I've already decided that I want the bottom portion of my clasp to go. And for the top portion, I started off drawing a small dot where I thought I want the top clasp to go, but I ended up taking my top clasp and attaching it to my bottom clasp and just pressing it down where the prongs were, and it made the indentation for me. Now since I have this metal clasp, I could have bought something from Walmart, but it would have made me go over my $10. So I just made a little design, which you'll be able to see right here. All I did was use the spool and make some circles. And that's it. That's the whole process. And thank you for watching. I hope you share, like, comment, and subscribe.